I'm Fletcher Rhoden, and this is Quotes and Quips. Today, words of wisdom from Mark Twain. Quotes and Quips is brought to you by my website, FletcherRhoden.com. That's where you're going to find links to my author page at Amazon.com. You can buy my books in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook format. And there's a link to my Spotify artist page where you can download my music in its various subgenres. I've got new music for 2024 just out. You can download my music anywhere all over the internet, really. But at my website, there's also free stuff you can get there exclusively. So check it out. Mark Twain tells us the first step in getting ahead is getting started. The first step in getting ahead is getting started. Well, this is not a terrifically unique quote from the author of Huckleberry Finn, but it certainly is truthful and relevant. Walt Disney said something similar. There's another great old saying, I don't know if it's a quote, I think it's an adage, and that's that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So that's basically what Twain reminds us, is that the first step in getting ahead is getting started. You're not going to succeed until you begin. Now, in the 20th century, psychology began to look at the notions of procrastination and overthinking. You can read more about that in my book, Tracking the Lone Wolf, the Sigma at Work, at Home, and at Play. That's available in Kindle and paperback and audiobook format, by the way. Now, what can sometimes happen is that a person gets so locked up in the planning stage of a project. They want it to be great. And so they're planning it, but also they're afraid of failing at it. And somewhere in the back of their mind, they make this decision. If I keep planning it, I never have to fail in my attempt to do it. Okay? This psychologists sometimes call analysis paralysis. But it's one of the two sides of the overthinking coin. Overthinking has two sides to it. You can either be constantly focusing on what might happen in the future and all the different ways that might happen. Or you're constantly thinking about things that happened in the past and how they could have gone another way. Have you ever been locked in to a fantasy of a conversation where you're rewriting the dialogue and saying the things you wished you'd have said? Well, that's overthinking. Because you can't go back into the past, and no matter how much you think about that, that thought is wasted because you're not going to get to say those things. That time is done. Also, if you're looking at the future, you cannot really anticipate how everything is going to go. So that's overthinking as well. That's wasted thought. And when you're thinking too much about either one of these things, particularly anticipating the future, you can get stuck in this cycle of analysis paralysis, which is what causes procrastination. So those people who are prone to procrastinate, it's often because they have a tendency toward perfectionism, but also a fear of failure. And, very often perfectionism is the enemy of production and of happiness because nothing is ever perfect. Abandon perfection because you'll never achieve it. So in the planning stages, plan for it not to be perfect. Some people would say, no, you got to shoot for the stars. You got to shoot for the moon, and even if you fail, you'll still be amongst the stars, someone might say. And it's true, you want to do your best, but you have to anticipate that whatever you try will fall short of perfection, because that's the nature of things. And once you've accepted that, you can then begin to begin. Then you don't have to keep planning, because no amount of planning is going to secure the perfection you're hoping to achieve. So abandon perfectionism, and that will help you to abandon procrastination. And if you're in that cycle of, analysis paralysis, then listen to the words of Mark Twain when he says, the first step in getting ahead is getting started. You can hear more quips and extract more wisdom from more quotes right here on Quotes and Quips. I'm here every week on Monday, right here on this YouTube channel. You can also see my other show, Tracking the Lone Wolf. That's on its own YouTube channel, Tracking the Lone Wolf. Here on this YouTube channel, you can find reruns of my old show, Fletch Me Anything, and a variety of music videos and fun stuff like that. There's also my website. There's new music all over the internet. Check it all out, won't you? And come back next week. Until then,